If you were in Dynasty Mountain, which division would you want to start in?
Dynasty Mountain, the climb to greatness.
Welcome to the Dynasty Mountain podcast, where we are covering all things Dynasty Mountain, the 4-division promotion and relegation Dynasty Fantasy Football League, sponsored by Winning Dynasty. If you're new here, I have started a 32-team Dynasty Fantasy Football League that has 4 different divisions: promotion and relegation. There's things like loans and our rookie auction draft. Lots of just cool, unique features to see how it works out. And so we're going to be covering everything about the league on here. And today we're specifically going to be talking about the startup draft and what divisions teams start in. And so with 32 teams, there's going to be 4 different divisions. There's going to be the Summit at the top, Ascension 1, Ascension 2, and then the Valley at the bottom. 8 teams in each division. And the way that we're going to select where teams start in year 1 is we are going to have a draft to decide who gets to pick what spot they want to draft in the startup draft. And so essentially, we're not just going to randomize the order and that's where you draft, but you are going to have a choice of where in the 32 teams you want to draft in for this startup draft. But the thing is, picks are tied to certain divisions. And so the people that pick in the top 8 are going to start all the way at the top in the Summit. People that pick 9 through 16 are going to be in Ascension 1, the second division. People that pick 17 through 24 are going to be in Ascension 2, and the people that pick 25 through 32 are going to be in the Valley. And so the owners will have a choice, especially the ones that have the higher draft selection, draft pick, will have a chance to pick where they want to draft. And so there's some strategy to it. Of course, there's strategy of where you want to pick. Do you like being on the earlier side? Because it's going to be a snake draft. If you pick first or second or third, that's awesome. You get a superstar, but then you have to wait until picks, 62, 63, 64 to get your second player. And in this league, because it's 32 teams, we have smaller rosters. So you only start 5. We have a super flex spot, a running back, a wide receiver, and 2 flex spots. And then you have 5 on your bench. You also have 3 taxi squad spots, so you can hold some younger players there. So what I want to do today is go through each division and kind of talk about the pros and cons of starting in each one, what might be some of the good, some of the bad, and try to get inside the minds of some of the owners of what they might be thinking when they make their selection of where they want to draft in the startup. So starting at the top in the Summit, there's a lot of really good perks there. 1, the payouts are tiered, and so there's way more payouts that happen in the Summit. Actually, half of all the money is going to be paid out in the Summit. $600 goes to first, $150 goes to second place, and then third place essentially gets their $50 buy-in back. So it'd be very attractive to start there year 1 because there's a 3 in 8 chance that you are going to win some kind of money in year 1 if you start in the Summit. The other thing is that you get picks 1 through 8. You're going to be in the top 8, and so you're going to be able to get a superstar, potentially a superstar quarterback or an elite wide receiver, elite running back. You're going to have your choice of one of them. The reason that we're tying the picks to the divisions is just so that everyone in year 1 kind of starts on the same ground. So everyone else in your division picked around the same spot in the startup draft. The way that we are doing promotion and relegation is essentially there's going to be 3 teams that move up and 3 teams that move down each year from the divisions. But since you're in the Summit, you're already at the top. There's a 50% chance that you will stay in the Summit in year 2 and have another chance to compete for either the $600, the $150, or the $50 payouts. And there's only a 37% chance that, you will get relegated down to Ascension 1, which is the second level, which still has a pretty good payout. It's $350 for that one. And so you're only going down one level, one division level. And so there's a pretty good chance that that's, what happens to you if your team doesn't do as well as you think in year 1. The other thing is with this league, I imagine after a few years and, probably more so as it just continues to go on, this Summit will be hard. It'll be really hard to win because every year the better teams are going to gradually work their way up. And yes, every year some teams will get relegated, but it's going to kind of balance it out so that eventually the Summit teams are going to be kind of truly the better teams in the league, all competing against each other. In year 1 with the startup draft, there might be some teams in the Summit that actually don't end up being very good. Some of their top picks might kind of flop, and it's actually maybe a better chance to win the Summit in year 1 than any other year in the existence of this league. There are some downsides though. I think this is a league or a division I kind of describe as the highest reward, but also the highest risk. Part of the risk is because you're not going to have as much fab free agent acquisition budget to work with as the rest of the league. And the fab dollars that you have are not just for waivers, but it's something you can use for trades. We're also going to have loans that you can use it for. And we are going to be doing a rookie auction draft. And so you don't have draft picks, you have fab. And the fab is what you're going to use to try to acquire rookies in that rookie auction draft. What we're doing to balance it out is we are going to give the Ascension 1, Ascension 2, and Valley teams a startup bonus of fab after the startup draft. So during the startup draft, everyone will have $100 of fab if they want to make trades or whatever. And then after that rookie startup draft is over, those other 3 divisions are going to be given a kind of tiered fab bonus. The Summit doesn't get that bonus. And so they're going to have less money to work with in order to make trades, make loans, or potentially draft rookies in that first rookie draft. We're also going to be giving end of season bonuses. And the way it's going to work is it's going to be kind of based off of the reverse order of max points for, which is the way that a lot of dynasty leagues will determine just a rookie draft order. But instead of assigning picks, we're going to assign fab. And it's going to go division by division. So it'll start at the bottom 8 teams in the Valley. It will go reverse order of max points for those 8 teams. The lowest one is going to get an extra $62 at the end of the season. And then it goes up in $2 increments from there. So the second lowest max points for in the Valley, they're going to get $60, and it just kind of keeps going all the way up. Then we get to Ascension 2, do the same thing. Ascension 1, same thing. And then the Summit, same thing. But by the time we get to the Summit, the better teams in the Summit, there might not get any. There's the very top team that gets has the most max points for, which is the potential points that you could have gotten if you set a perfect lineup each week. Whoever has the top, they're not getting any bonus. And then even the second highest, they're going to get a $2 bonus, which isn't a whole lot. And so in general, it's going to be a lot harder to get draft capital to be able to use. It's going to be harder to get money, that fab that you can use in that rookie draft in year 1 by the end of the season. You can make trades, you can make loans to get some of that money, but the reality is too, if you are going to be making trades, you're probably trading away some of your good players that you were hoping to kind of build around. And if you're having to trade them away to get fab, to try to get rookies, probably things that didn't go well. The last thing that can be tough about the Summit is there is actually a feature that we have called the Avalanche, where the last place team in the Summit consolation bracket is going to get avalanched all the way down to the Valley. All right, so they don't just go down to Ascension 1 or Ascension 2, they go all the way to the Valley if they get last place. So the worst team, the last place team in the Summit every year has a chance of getting relegated all the way down to the Valley. And so that's where the risk is. If you are a team that drafts in the top 8, you're in the Summit, you have a chance to win the money, but things don't go well, you don't win the money, you potentially get relegated all the way down to the Valley. Now you're in the lowest division in the whole league, and you probably don't have much money, so you probably can't really get any rookies. You're going to be in a tough spot. So I think the Summit is kind of the ultimate risk-reward division, where there's a huge reward, but there's also a lot of risk. Ascension 1 is the next division right below the Summit, and the payout for that division is going to be $350 for the winner. And so it's not really anywhere near the $600 for the winner of the Summit, but it's still pretty good. And compared to the Ascension 2, which is going to be $250, and then the Valley is $150, it's going to be a lot higher. And so there's certainly that benefit of being able to potentially win more money in year 1 by starting in Ascension 1 versus Ascension 2 or the Valley. The picks tied to Ascension 1 are going to be 9 through 16. So another benefit is you're still picking in the top half of the draft. You have a chance at some of those elite players. And if you're looking at your chances, 3 teams from Ascension 1 are going to get promoted to the Summit in year 2. And so you got about a little over a third chance of being promoted to the Summit in year 2 if you start year 1 in Ascension 1. There's also going to be 2 teams that stay in Ascension 1, so you have a 25% chance if you don't get promoted, there's still a 25% chance that you are going to be just staying in Ascension 1 in year 2 and still have a chance to compete for that $350. Compared to the Summit League, you also have some added bonuses. You're going to get $33 of startup bonus fab right after the startup draft, which isn't huge, but it's more than the $0 that the Summit is getting. And also, as I described before, the end of season fab bonuses, they go tiered, so you're not going to get as much as the Valley or Ascension 2, but again, you're going to get more than Summit will. Those end of season fab bonuses for Ascension 1 are going to be kind of in that $16 to like $26, $24 range. So a pretty, good bonus at the end of the year to use in the rookie draft. Now, some downsides, there is also a 37% chance that you are going to get relegated down to Ascension 2, which gets you a lower payout for the next year, also gets you closer to the Valley, and just further away from being in the Summit. You also don't get as much startup bonus fab as well as end of season bonus fab as Ascension 2 and the Valley, they're going to have a little bit more capital, so it's still going to be a little tough to get some good rookies in that first rookie draft. At least, easier than the Summit, but probably going to be harder than Ascension 2 and the Valley. Chances are a lot of them are going to scoop up some of the better players. Ascension 2 is going to be the one step below Ascension 1, so the third division in Dynasty Mountain. The payout for that is $250, so it's still more than the Valley is going to be, but it's going to be lower than certainly the Summit, and then even $100 lower than Ascension 1. Picks 17 through 24 are going to be assigned to Ascension 2, and so you're kind of in the middle of the draft, slightly getting towards the end of the draft. Now, depending on your strategy, this could be good, this could be bad. You might not have a chance at some of those elite players, but you might have a chance for a little bit more depth because it's a snake draft, and so on the turnaround, you're going to have a sooner second-round pick than those first teams. Of course, there's also the downside in Ascension 2 where 37%, 3 out of 8 teams, are going to be relegated to the Valley after year 1. The positive is the same amount are going to be promoted to Ascension 1, which gets you, one division closer to being in the Summit than at least if you started in the Valley. The Fab bonuses also are way better than in the Summit and Ascension 1. You're going to get a $67 startup bonus. After the startup draft, you'll get $67 added to your Fab that you can either use for transactions, trades, waivers, loans, etc., or just kind of save up for that first rookie draft. And then same thing with the end of year bonuses. Like you're going to be in that probably like $30 to $40 range for the end of season bonuses. And so you're going to get a pretty good, chunk of change to be able to use either in the rookie draft or just in off-season moves, more so than you're going to get in the Summit and Ascension 1. And then we're in the Valley, the bottom division, the fourth division in this league. The payout for the Valley is only $150, and so that makes it way less attractive than the other divisions. There are also going to be 4 teams. The 4 teams that don't make the playoffs every year are not going to get promoted in any way, and they're going to stay in the Valley. So there's a 50% chance if you start in the Valley, you're going to be in the Valley again in year 2. For 3 of those 8 teams, you're going to get promoted, but you're only going to get promoted to Ascension 2. So you still have a long ways to go to make your way all the way to the Summit if you start in the Valley. Except for one team. The way it's going to work, as I said before, one team from the Summit is going to get avalanched all the way down to the Valley each year. The team that loses the consolation bracket, we got to replace them with somebody, and that's going to be the champion from the Valley is going to get airlifted all the way up to the Summit. And so while there's a 50% chance you don't get, you stay in the Valley in year 2, and there's a 37% chance that you only get to move up to Ascension 2, there is that slight chance that you get promoted all the way up to the Summit in after year 1. And so there's a little bit of a perk there. That's a little bit of hope that, hey, if I can do well and I can win this division, I can get all the way up to the Summit. The picks for this division are going to be 25 through 32, so you are at the very end of the draft. You're not going to be able to have a chance at some of those top, essentially the top 24 players. You're not going to have a chance to get any of those. But on the flip side, you are going to be right at the turn, and so you're going to get 2 guys that are in that top 40. They're at the low end of the top 40, but there's 2 top 40 players that are going to be on your team. Versus, like, if you're in the Summit, your second player, it might not even be, a top 50, 55, 60 player. You might get the 63rd player as your second best player. In the Valley, there's going to be a team that gets the 32nd and 33rd player, which those could both be very good players, and especially if they hit and they increase in value, you might have 2 elite players on your team in year 1. The startup Fab bonus is way better. It's $100 in the Valley, so each team in the Valley is going to start the year with $200 in Fab. And the end of season bonuses are better too. They're going to be starting at 62 for the lowest max points for a team in the Valley. And so if you don't even make a move, if you don't buy or sell anything, you're going to end up with 250 something, maybe even 260 something Fab heading into the rookie draft in year 1. Now, if you also make some loans, make some trades, again, don't spend a lot, there's a very good possibility that you have over $300 of Fab going into that rookie draft. Compared to like the Summit, there's gonna be some teams that have nothing because they may have spent it to make trades and loans to try and win, and they don't get much bonuses, and so they may have like nothing or single digits Fab left over, and you might have 300 plus if you use that strategy. Now it's gonna be a rookie auction draft, so there's no guarantees, but the more buying power you have, the better chance you have at getting some of those top rookies. And in this format where you only have 5 starters, if you can draft a rookie that is going to be at least in your top 5, if not one of your better players, that makes a big impact. Player that they're probably going to be replacing in your lineup, especially if you were kind of near the bottom, you're in the Valley, it's one of your later, your 5th player is probably not going to be someone very good. Your second, flex spot or super flex spot, if you don't have a quarterback, you're probably starting someone that's just not very good, not getting a whole lot of points. You're just kind of hoping there's something, you know, magical that happens each week. If you can all of a sudden replace that person with a high-end rookie, you know, think a couple years ago, throwing Drake May, you know, Malik Neighbors, throwing one of those guys in there. You know, this year we have Fernando Mendoza and Jeremiah Love. Like, you may be able to throw one of those guys in your lineup and replace some, like, second or third string wide receiver or backup running back or something that you're having to start each week just because you just don't have the depth. That's going to be a huge game changer. And so overall, while I think there are advantages to every league, you know, looking at kind of top and bottom, the Summit, again, risk reward. There's a high chance of reward to get a lot more payout in year one and maybe even in year two. But there's more risk that you end up dropping down without much capital. Your team probably isn't very good because you lost. And so you're a little more risk there. The Valley, there's not quite as much reward, but there's also not as much risk because you're going to get a lot of fab to use. And so you can kind of make more decisions. You have more buying power throughout the year and into the off season. And yes, you're not getting as much of a payout, but there's also the chance of potentially getting airlifted or at least, you know, getting promoted to Ascension 2 and kind of working your way up that way and still having a lot of draft capital to use. So what do you think? Where would you start? Where would you want to start? Would you want to start kind of in the beginning, draft one of those elite players, start in the Summit, have a better payout, but have the risk of not having much fab to work with and potentially falling down? Would you rather start at the bottom, have a lot of fab to work with? You're starting all the way at the bottom. You're not going to have much of, you know, in terms of payout. And, you know, even if you don't get the payout, you might get promoted, but you're not getting paid out if you get promoted. And so you might go a few years to work your way up to the Summit and still not get any payout, but maybe you can build a good foundation with some rookie picks. Or you want to start in the middle, so you're kind of balanced. You don't have as much of the risk as being in the Summit, not quite as much reward of like fab as being down in the Valley, but you're kind of closer to the Summit, and there's a little bit of a balance in the Ascension 1 and Ascension 2. Let me know what you think. Where would you want to start? We will continue to cover the Dynasty Mountain startup draft and strategy and how things go throughout the offseason. And then once we get into the season, we'll kind of cover how things are going, how matchups are going, cool things that have happened, moves that are being made. I'll share below some of the best ways to follow along. We do have a Discord where there are some public channels, so you can kind of pay attention to, you know, league announcements and updates and things like that, as well as interact with some of the owners and kind of get a feel for like what their strategy is and what they're talking about. So I'll include that link below, as well as all the social channels and, you know, places to get access to this content. Thanks for listening.
Dynasty Mountain, the climb to greatness.